grumpy, friendly old neighborhood soldier. Yeah, old neighborhood. Neighborhood old soldier. Tired, didn't sleep well last night. Not that I really trust much in the media, but I've been trying to keep up with some of the news going on. We've got Representative Matt Gaetz basically calling out the current House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy. Shithead. Not safe for work, not safe for kids. You've been forewarned. For his continued capitulation to the Communist Party of America, of which he does not have the appropriate intestinal fortitude to stand up against and say enough's enough. To stand up to them and say, these programs you want funded are bankrupting the nation. Locally here in North Carolina, I've been reading several articles about historically black colleges and universities that have been underfunded by the state. Well, you know what? I got a solution for that. Stop depending on the government. Raise your own money. But I told you, they're a public school. They're supposed to depend on government money. Show me a law that says they have to depend on government funds. If that was the case, why do we have to pay tuition to public schools once you graduate high school? That's the other thing I'd like to know. So that means they have to have multiple sources of revenue to fund these places. So these HBCUs here in this state have been whining about not getting enough of their fair share, so they say. I call a horse mess on that. You know, go out and raise your own money. Stop depending on the government. But some of this stuff is going on in Congress. You know. But don't get me wrong, both parties are fractured. The communists are split amongst themselves on what ought to be precedent and policy. The so-called conservative Republicans are divided amongst each other. You got two women in the so-called conservative Republican Party that, honestly, I've got to the point now, I really think they're just in it for a popularity game. Of course, one of them got caught playing, you know, handsy-pansy in a theater with her boy toy here recently. It really left a sour taste in my mouth about her. All the stuff she touted and shot her mouth off about, and all of a sudden she's going into a place and doing what she's supposedly... Anyway. Classic example, do as I say, not as I do. My opinion. For those of you like her, hey, do whatever. Don't really give rat's ass. The other one is Mrs. Green from Georgia. Every time something pops off, she's got to get her 4 cents in worth. Sometimes she says some stupid stuff. I used to have a lot of admiration and respect for her as well, but you know, I guess I started to distance myself from supporting her when she argued for Kevin McCarthy to be the House Speaker over more qualified conservative candidates for that position that would probably have upheld 90% of what conservatives wanted to be upheld during this budget negotiation. Instead of what we got now, somebody that's kowtowing to the Communist Party of America, because again, like I said, he doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to step up to the plate and do what's right. because he's afraid of lawsuits. He's afraid of being called a bigot, afraid of the alphabet soup community calling him out, because whatever. He's afraid of all these things. So all I can tell you folks is come next November, buckle up, hold on. Who knows what the hell's going to happen. So if you haven't gathered supplies, if you haven't gathered food, toilet paper, I can tell you right now, I've got about a year's worth of toilet paper and paper towels in my house, and I'm about to stock up on some more. Gotta have it. I do need to replenish some canned goods. That's the other thing, make sure you go through your pantry. Look at your expiration dates and best use dates on your canned goods. Okay? Usually you got 6 months, in some cases even up to a year after that best buy date is expired that you can still eat that food. I really wouldn't recommend going any further than that. Now, if there's other people out there got other recommendations about that, put them down in the comments below. Love to hear from you and see what you can educate us on. Because again, I'm not perfect, never claimed to be. But one of the things my wife and I do is when we go through our coupons on Sunday, believe it or not, I look for the little DAC type canned hams that go on sale at the drugstores, like Walgreens and CVS. We'll stock up on those. It is not the best quality cut of ham, I promise you that, but in a pinch it will sustain you until better food can be made available. Same thing with Spam, deviled ham. Stock up on canned chicken. All that food has been processed in a plant. I get it. You can buy fresh poultry, fresh beef, fresh pork. You can smoke it, you can preserve it, you can stick it in the freezer. I'm not saying don't do that, but sometimes those options are a little more expensive. I'm telling you this, folks, because who knows what the hell's going to happen next year. I've got no faith in the elections. I've got no faith in the electoral process. Local to national. None whatsoever. I would tell you this, ammunition, if you don't have a decent supply, I would highly recommend you get on it. That's whether you reload, you buy factory made, whatever your choice is, I would suggest you get stocked up on it. Cleaning supplies for your firearms, repair items for your firearms. Get those things prepared and ready. Because if the puppet chief is reelected, I firmly believe that they will make the gun grab. Now, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But I just feel it down in my gut that if Dipstick gets reelected, the communists are going to make the gun grab. There'll be a lot of us, lying dead on the top of a pile of brass, or a lot of us are going to have a lot of boating accidents. There's nothing that's keeping the ATF and the FBI in check. Don't believe me? Look at all the people they're arresting over January 6th for no reason. None. There's no call for over 90% of the arrests from January 6th. None. It is a purge. People are being made examples of to keep them from doing it again. You still got people in confinement that have not even been formally charged nor read their rights. And more people are still being rounded up. And as much as I am a supporter of the law enforcement officials and agencies, I'll also be the first one to tell you, if they do what I think they're going to do, if they win that election, they're going to use those people against you. Some might make the conscious decision to actually stand up properly to defend the Constitution and declare what they're going to do unconstitutional. But I wholeheartly believe that many won't, for various reasons, from the fact they don't want their family persecuted, to the fact that, like the sheriff and police chief, whatever, in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, because they're metro, doesn't want citizens in his county to be armed. And I've heard that from more than one law enforcement source, meaning more than one officer that works out there, as well as people that live there. The length of time it takes to process concealed carry permits in that county, in this state, is ridiculous. The last report I heard, the gentleman told me it took them 8 months to process his application for concealed carry permit. North Carolina is a shall issue state. Your requirements are, you must attend an 8-hour training course that's been approved by the Criminal Justice Academy of North Carolina. You'll also have to have been certified either by the NRA or USCCA or other recognized organizations recognized by the Criminal Justice Academy. Then, after you've taken that 8-hour course, which the first 2 hours mandatory, is nothing but law and on the use of deadly force, when you can, when you can't, where you can carry, where you can't carry, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Followed by 6 additional hours of handgun safety, or firearm safety, excuse me. Weapons familiarization, the different types of handguns that are out there, the differences between the various semi-automatics, revolvers, the pros and cons to each, how to load and unload, assemble and disassemble, clean, maintain, basic marksmanship, all this in the next 6-hour period of time. These are minimums. The instructors can add to if they wish to do so, so long as it's been approved by the Criminal Justice Academy. Followed by a written test, which of course the Criminal Justice Academy of North Carolina just issued a new book that everybody's supposed to be using, but they didn't update the test and the format of the book is atrocious. I don't care about busting them out, because we, the instructors, have to buy those books. So, I've known high school seniors that could format a book better than this. And these are all supposed to be college-educated people that put this together. Moving right along. Then after all that, then you have to go to the range. You have to qualify. Minimum of 30 rounds. Okay, 70% of 30 rounds, which is 21 rounds. Fired at the 3, the 5, and the 7-yard line. Upon successful completion of all that, the instructor will issue a certificate that's serialized with their instructor number on it to the individual. And the individual then therefore will take it to their county sheriff's department with all other supporting documentation, driver's license, TD-214 for veterans, active duty orders for members of active duty personnel stationed in North Carolina, things of that nature. And they will turn this in along with the other applications, the paperwork that the sheriff's departments require, at which time they'll be fingerprinted. And they'll sign a medical records release to have their mental health records checked, if there are any. Once all that's said and done, the permit ought to be approved if everything comes back clean. because they're also going to run that criminal background check on you. Like I said, everything ought to be, if it comes back clean, shouldn't take more than 45 days, 90 at tops if there's a lot of applications that particular sheriff's department's processing. Which, prior to the repeal of the purchase permits in North Carolina, there sometimes were backlogs because it'd be the same person processing the purchase permits that was also running the background checks for your concealed carry permit within each respective sheriff's department. So when they repealed the purchase permit requirement, it freed up people to concentrate on concealed carry permit background checks. Or so the thought was. Yeah, I'm up on a tangent, don't really give a hoot. But anyway. So folks, keep all that in mind. Keep all that in mind. That when this stuff happens, people that that wear a shield, that took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, can be just as easily swayed and confused as the average ordinary citizen. So when they come knocking on your door and say, we know you got guns, give them up, what are you going to do? You need to ask yourself that. What are you going to do? And what you say now might be different how you act at the time. And no, I'm not calling anybody out and I'm not belittling anyone. The reason I say that is to say this. I've seen soldiers hoot and holler and brag about how great of a combat leader they are or will be or are, or this, that, and the other, and then come time when shit hits the fan, they're the first ones to hide behind people and forget everything that they ever touted. Case in example, after 9/11, people were getting deployed left and right. And I'm not going to call them friends anymore, but acquaintances, if you will, colleagues, peers, that did anything and everything they could to get out of going. For whatever reason, against my religious values. I'm not going to go fight for the rich man's oil. Those people over there didn't do nothing to me or mine. Whatever the case may have been. One or two, one female staff sergeant, she had a very valid reason for wanting to not go. Her husband had deployed. She was dual military. She was not opposed to deploying because she had deployed before. Her and her husband had just got stationed here, and all of a sudden they told her, hey, your dwell time is over. You've got to go. Well, they had young children and a teenager. The teenager was having some issues. All she asked for was a deferment to deploying until they could get that situated. And the command wouldn't work with her. So she took the option to be what the military would call get chaptered out for there's various provisions. What chapter means, it refers to a particular chapter in a regulation for separations. And she opted to be processed out. And then they were trying to give her a general discharge, which several of us that knew her opposed that idea. She had served 12 years honorably. She wanted to get out to take care of her kids, and all y'all wanted to know. So we had a good rear detachment commander that fought that issue. She was able to get her honorable. But the point being is that, even in the military, you got people that claim they're going to do this, that, and the other, and when the crap hits the fan, you find out real quick that they're full of bravado, but there's nothing backing it up. I'm not saying I'm any kind of hero. I ain't. Never have been, never will be. But I believe confidently in what I'll do. So you have to ask yourself that question. Nobody else can answer it for you. What you tout to your friends and your family may change given the circumstances at the time things go down. Which boils down to the real question is, what are you willing to give up in order to keep your liberty, your freedoms? What are you willing to sacrifice, friends? What are you willing to go out and fight for? That, my friends, is the question of the day. And I don't need you to answer down in the comments unless you want to put an answer down there. And if I've said anything that's bothered anybody, well, you're just going to have to be bothered. Because I'm not backing down from what I've said. I'm not apologizing for what I said. If what I'm saying has hurt some feelings, well, you just got to have some hurt feelings. Put on your big boy underwear, your big girl panties, and, you know, come to the table as an adult. All right, folks, I have got to get off here because I'm headed into a doctor's appointment. I've got to secure my firearm in my vehicle because I can't take it in. I got to get some other things as well situated. So until I get another one out, friends and neighbors, this is your friendly neighborhood old soldier. Coming at you right now from Fayetteville. Later.